Well, hello and welcome to the SuperConnector Show, where I'm delighted to be joined by Ian Kinnery, also known as the Scale Up Coach, who is a scale up and business coach for ambitious founders and leaders. He's had over 21 years of building, coaching, and scaling businesses. Hi, Ian, how are you doing?
I'm excellent, thanks, Paul. How are you?
Oh, I like that. I like it when you say you're excellent. Yeah, sometimes people are like, I'm all right. Yeah, not bad, but you're excellent. That's good.
If somebody says they're all right, I'll say, is that good?
Uh-huh.
Yes, it is. I knew it was. Why didn't you say good?
Yeah, no, that's good. And I like your t-shirt as well. So is it scaling up coaches?
I thought just to remind me
just
who I am and where I am.
Yeah. So for anyone that doesn't know what a business coach is and does, can you start by explaining?
Yeah, sure. Peter Drucker once said that the bottleneck is always at the top of the bottle, which means that if you're at the top of your business, you're probably the bottleneck. And, it's a phrase I use a lot. You'll have heard me use it a lot. We know what we know, but we don't know what we don't know. And it's what we don't know that costs us. So as a business coach, I grow the business leader to grow the business, to stop them being the bottleneck, to help them develop. Does that go some way to explain it?
Yeah, I mean, it does. I mean, I know what that is. Yeah, and I'm sure. Yeah, anyone listening to this or watching this will know as well. But I've definitely seen that over the years, lots of times where they've started the business, got to a certain point, they're doing well, but people are still relying on them to make the decisions, and like everyone goes to them for the answers, and it does create a bit of a dependency on that senior person.
And it's definitely a bottleneck.
Yeah, definitely a bottleneck. But also they often don't have someone that they can talk to either. And maybe if they're the most senior person, everyone's coming to them for help and advice. But who do they go to for help and advice, or who can they share the challenges or the problems with? Sometimes they can't talk to their colleagues, or they might not have it. Even if they have a board, they might not be able to share openly with them.
And the chances are, Paul, they probably won't, because entrepreneurs are that type where typically they just make stuff happen.
Yeah.
They don't consult. They just make stuff happen, which is great until you get to the limit of your experience.
Yeah, no, totally. And you've got loads of good stuff on your website, kinnery.co.uk. And on LinkedIn, you're sharing some great content on there and really enjoying your videos. And I would encourage anyone to take a look at your website as well. You've got this 5-day productivity challenge where you can sign up and get free email with videos in there, which are excellent. I've done that as well. But who do you normally work with? Like at the moment, who are you working with, or who do you think benefits most from working with you?
As I say, on my website, it says I grow the business leader to grow the business. So I don't do anything in corporations. I don't understand them, and I like working with the boss. So I typically work with ambitious business owners that want to grow the business.
Mm-hmm.
And they tend to be in the SME, small and medium-sized enterprise sector. So, and I've been doing this now for 21 years. So an awful lot of businesses in the Northeast. My model used to be all face-to-face before lockdown. Now it's mainly on Zoom. So geography is less of a restriction. But any business that wants to grow and needs to grow, and being remarkably successful doing that.
Yeah, no, you've been doing it, like you say, over 21 years, and I've heard lots of good things about you. And I mean, I've been following what you've been doing, but it's really only in the last 6 months, 12 months that I've got to know you better and seen you in action as well. And I'm really, really impressed. I was saying before we went live, I feel like a super fan, a bit of a fanboy, because I've been
don't apologize for that, Paul.
I've been watching all your content and all your videos and listening to your podcast, and I'm really benefiting from it because I would say I'm at that point as well where I am aware that I've been in business for 10 years, but the business is basically me. Like,
Yeah.
I bring people in as and when I need them, but it's pretty much me doing all the day to day. I do have a business partner now, and I did join forces with Neil, my business partner, about a year and a half ago, because I was aware that I wanted someone else to work alongside me. And he's a co-founder, but he's kind of like a mentor, coach as well, helping me think bigger and definitely have a bit more of a commercial focus to what I do. But that was me being aware that despite having lots of successful years and loving what I'm doing, if I just keep doing the same thing, then I'm not going to grow the business. And I want to take it to the next level now.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with the business being you. I mean, this business is me. Where it becomes a problem is when that's not what you want.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that's the way you're running it. Then it's a problem. Yeah. And it's how do you break away from that and change it from if you like, a micro business to a fully fledged business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if it's all about you, you can't easily take holidays. Everything revolves around you. And after a while, that becomes untenable for most people.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, I think what I've done a good job of is I think I'm quite good at building sort of brands. So I've got there's me as a brand, I suppose, personal brands, right? And what I do and what I'm known for, right? But then there's the platform events. So yes, I'm the host, but it doesn't actually need me to be the host. The format works. Other people could potentially do that. We could scale that out if we bring other people in to do that. The Startup Scale Up Week. It used to be Newcastle Startup Week, but it became UK Startup and Scale Up Week. Now that's a purely online resource of blogs and videos and podcasts and guides. Again, that doesn't need to be me running that. So I've created these assets and these brands with a view to me taking a step back, but at the minute it's still very reliant on me powering these things and making things happen. But that is the loose plan, is to bring in other people or maybe to, you never know, someone else might want to take them on away from us. But I've done a good job of creating certain things. I've got good systems and technology behind it, but I think ideally we need a team. We need a bigger team of people to grow it.
Well, it depends what you want. And if I was your coach, I'd be saying, okay, so when are you going to do that?
Mm-hmm.
What needs to be in place to allow you to do that? And when are you committing to having it done by? Yeah. Because we've all got loose plans,
mm-hmm.
but really vague goals lead to vague plans, lead to vague actions.
Yeah.
And, the man at the top of the mountain didn't fall there. He had a plan to get there and a timeline to get there.
Yeah.
And a mission to get there.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, thank you. I wasn't expecting to get some free coaching, but I do appreciate it. But no, you're right, because I think definitely in the early days it was just can I start my own business? Can I get this thing up and running, and can I keep going? And then it was like, can I make it a bit bigger, and can we make it more successful? And then what happened just briefly with me, because it was very much me and bringing people in as and when I needed to. But when lockdown happened, I couldn't run events. Most of my income was coming from events, so the income fell off a cliff. Moved things online. That was going okay, but then I had to go back into employment for a couple of years just to steady things and get a bit of regular income and sort of take a bit of pressure off, which I didn't want to do, but it was exactly what I needed to do. And actually, I learned a lot from that. But I've come back. I picked up exactly where I left off, but with a much more of a commercial focus. And I don't want to be in that situation again. So that's one of the reasons why I joined forces with Neil, because it was like, look, again, if I just keep doing what I was doing before, I'm vulnerable and there's a risk that might happen again. So yeah, so talking about that was a trigger for me so do you tend to find there's triggers, negative triggers, positive triggers for people wanting to coach?
Yeah, I think people either take on a coach because they're not getting there fast enough, or what they're doing at the minute they know isn't working. And that usually shows up in terms of stress. I used to use, when I was doing a lot of seminars, I used to use 2 photographs, and one was of a yacht. And if you can imagine the yacht, the sails were full of wind. The crew were all lined up along the railing of the yacht. It was making clear and steady progress to its destination, which could be seen. And the sun was on their back, and it was a nice picture. And I think that picture typifies the image that we have when we go into business. But the reality often turns out to be something different. And I have a photograph of a guy in a loincloth dragging an anchor. And of course, with every step, the anchor digs deeper and deeper, and he's becoming more and more tired and more frustrated. So we get the image of what we think we're going into, and then a totally different image of what reality too often turns out to be like. And if we're dragging the anchor, that's a sure sign that something isn't working. And if something isn't working, then we've got to change, and change is hard. And that's what a coach is all about.
Yeah. So you're right. So people, they'll know that something's not working, or they maybe need to make a change, but they just don't know how to do that. And that's
why it's not working, but they'll be feeling the stress, feeling the lack of enjoyment.
Yeah. And I bet you get people come to you where it's already they're at burnout or close to burnout, or maybe after burnout, but ideally you want to speak to them before that, don't you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because if you're dragging the anchor, you are going to collapse sooner or later.
Yeah, and it's a good friend of mine who often talks about how it's very difficult to make good decisions when you're stressed out and overwhelmed.
And I don't think we realise that. And typically entrepreneurs will spend every hour, because we kind of enjoy it, but we don't realise that that's why I use the spiral. We don't realise that we're spiralling down all the time. I know at the minute I'm going on holiday for the weekend on Thursday, because I know I'm tired. I know I'm not as decisive as I am when I'm less tired. And you wouldn't race a racehorse every weekend. A prime athlete, well, they stopped competing 6 months before the Olympics.
Okay.
And yet as entrepreneurs, it's head down, backside up, and plow on and on and on. And particularly for blokes. There's something distinctly unwise about that.
Yeah, no, yeah, I know there's times when you just have to work. You have to nose to the grindstone. You just have to work long hours and really, really hard. But you've got to take some time out after that busy period, or you've got to carve out some rest time in between. And even me at a small level, there'll be some days where I'm just, or even particularly in the build up to a big event, where I'm just working crazy hours, but I just know it needs to be done. But I also know that as soon as it's over, I'm going to probably take the next week off, maybe longer.
Well, as long as you do. But we we don't realize how we start to lose cognitive power, we start to lose energy.
Yeah.
And that can be, if we're not careful, the beginning of the end.
Yeah. And even just like, there's some days where I work late, and then the next day I will take it easy, or I'll clear my diary, like because I do. No, I think it's good. I'm a bit jealous that you're going on holiday this weekend, but I think it's.
I've worked for it, Paul.
I know. Well, I know you do. And I think if there's one thing I would recommend anyone running a business is to take your holidays. Like, definitely book your holidays and take your time out and force yourself, if you have to just switch off. And,
get some hobbies.
Yeah, get some hobbies.
Well, yeah, that's when I take on a new client, one of the things that I tell them is to get some new hobbies, because as entrepreneurs, what we tend to do is we stretch the day out. It's 5 o'clock, everybody else is going home, but I haven't finished. I'll do an extra hour. And that perpetuates. Whereas if you had a new puppy or a new motorbike or something that you had to be home for, you would do it. And of course, if we contain the day, we're actually more productive. You're never as productive as you are the day before you go on holiday. On Thursday, I'll be ruthless with my time. Because if I miss the plane, I don't get a second chance. So on the day before we go on holiday, we are ruthless. But most of the time we're not. I'll just do a bit more. I'll just work another hour. And we start slowly.
Especially if a lot of people work from home as well, don't they? So it's not such a clear marker between the job or the daily work and the home life, if they're working from home. One of the best things I've done recently, we got a dog. We got a puppy in separate.
I know. I've heard about this.
Oh yeah, Katie, my partner, I think she told you about it. So I didn't think I was a dog person, right? So I've never had a dog. I've always grown up with cats. And she is a dog person and really wanted a dog, but she's not had one for a long time. And I really, really didn't want a dog. And then we were on holiday last summer, and her and the youngest daughter were like pitching to me basically about the benefits of having a dog and showing me photos and like narrowing it down about. And then it's the best thing ever. I absolutely adore this dog. And she loves Katie as well, but I'm her person. She just wants to be with me all the time, right? And I love taking her for a walk. Like I like walking anyway, but I love it that I have to take her for.
It forces you outside.
At least 2, usually 3 walks a day. Breaks up the day, gives me space to think, and it's one of the best things ever. As well as the emotional, you feel good when you're around.
It's therapeutic without a doubt. I couldn't be without my dog.
Yeah, I know, definitely. Well, I heard you. What kind of dog have you got?
He's a border terrier. He's called Edwin.
Edwin.
It's just brilliant.
I've seen a photo of Edwin. Haven't you got don't you put him in funny hats?
Yeah. Well, probably his birthday photograph. But
right.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I saw something you posted something about how this is one of your recent videos, which I thought was excellent. You do post some really good videos on LinkedIn about how you're sure you can work with every business. Like every business can be helped, but not every business owner or leader can be helped. Because some people just don't take advice and they're closed-minded. So do you want to say a bit about that?
Yeah, I think, Carol Dweck, who's I think Stanford professor, came up with the concept of fixed mindset or a learning mindset and growth mindset, she called it. And to me, that's one of, particularly in the 21st century, that's one of the most important things. If we haven't got a growth mindset, we're never going to learn what we need to learn. If we have got a growth mindset, we will learn and we'll be prepared to face the discomfort of doing something new. And with a world that's changing as quickly as ours is, you know, if you only ever do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. I think it was Peter Drucker again that said, and I can't remember the dates, but he said his family were printers from I don't know, 1570 till 1650, and they didn't need to learn anything new. Well, in 2026, you can't get through a day without learning something new. So, but if somebody's got a fixed mindset, fundamentally what they're saying is, I know what I know, and it's never going to change. Well, actually, if it's never going to change, you might as well give up now, because the world after this podcast, the world outside will be different in some way, big or small. And if I can't adapt to that, I'll be redundant.
Yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I like to think I've got I have got a growth mindset. I know I have. And I've got like a personal motto, it's like stay curious, because I just love learning, and I'm always open to new ideas and new ways of thinking. And I put myself in situations where that are uncomfortable and stretch me and try things out for the first time. At the same time, I know there are certain areas where I am resistant to try because I've not done them before, and I'm a bit worried that I can't do it. But I've got a track record of making things happen just by putting myself in those situations. So I think once you've got that experience and that track record behind you, you're more willing to do it.
I agree, but I think curiosity is a superpower. You know, the more curious we are, the less we assume, the more we need to learn and ask and listen rather than tell. And again, listening is a superpower.
Yeah.
I believe.
No, I agree. Well, I think there's so much to learn. You can never know it all, can you? Like there's but also, now, you already had. I mean, everything's on YouTube, isn't it? Everything's on Google, and now even with AI, I know you're not a massive fan of AI, and I'm a bit like in the middle about AI, but like it's all there, isn't it? But you've got to know what questions to ask to get the right answers.
You've got to have some way of assessing whether it's BS or the truth. And that's the problem with anything on social media. There's no, as one of its attractions, there's no policing of it. But I mean, which is why I tend to stick to books, because books have typically the particularly older ones, there's been more scrutiny. You know, and it's interesting. I've got over 2,000 books in my library now.
Oh, okay, wow.
And still in my reading room, there's a stack of books on the table next to me. And I ended up having to select 2 or 3 to take away this weekend. But, constantly learning, constantly reading.
Oh yeah, you never stop learning. I know. I love books as well. I mean, I've got a bunch of books on my desk here. I've read most of them, but like there's a couple I've still got on the go or just about to start. But like you say, there's a lot that have stood the test of time. Others have maybe the world has moved on and they're not as relevant anymore. But there's but there's a reason why some of these are classics, and people regularly refer to them and talk about them. So, what is there? I know you mentioned a couple of people earlier. Is there any in particular that you regularly recommend to clients to read?
Books.
Yes.
Yeah, always. But it depends on the client. It depends where their focus of attention is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I encourage all clients to read, because if they read, they're getting the base level of knowledge. I mean, I've got no problem helping people with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's far more productive if you understand something, and then we can talk about the application of it, rather than going from a base of zero knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and what I find is that, in fact, the client that I saw this morning has never read as many books as he has in the last few months he's been working with me. And generally, people really enjoy it, and it becomes a habit for life after that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, continuous learning, I would suggest.
Yeah. So what's go on, give us a I'm putting you on the spot here. Is there one book in particular that you think I should read, or that you regularly recommend to people? What's
Well, funnily enough, as I say, I've got 2,000 books. I've got about probably 30 or 40 in the bookshelf here in the office. And I've got some on my desk here, which I'm constantly referring to. The one that I'm particularly entranced with at the minute is Design Loving by Marcus Buckingham.
Okay.
And what he's talking about, and I absolutely get this, is how transactional the world has become. And of course, AI makes it even more transactional.
Mm-hmm.
But fundamentally, people need to love what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And we keep building places of work that are just not fulfilling. They don't lift the spirit. And it should. Mm-hmm. Because if we're just going into work as a transactional arrangement, that's an awful way to spend your time. Mm-hmm. So it's really about, how do we make the workplace more human? Because the workplace isn't working for so many people at the minute. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really important. One of the reasons that I do what I do is that, and every Christmas, I'll just take a mental note of how many lives I've impacted, because I'm working with their business. And this started a few years ago, when we were in yet another recession. And one Christmas I was thinking, well, all of these people are going home for Christmas way more confident about next year because of the work that I'm doing with their business. I fundamentally believe that a business that's well run benefits everybody. It benefits the team, it benefits the owners, it benefits the stakeholders, it benefits the customers. But a business that's badly run hardly benefits anybody.
No.
So, I'd regularly, as I say, every year end, I take stock and try and estimate the impact that I've had.
Yeah.
And just this morning, the person I was coaching at 9:00 has been running this business of his which is quite a big business, for I think 7 years now. And he said, I've never been as happy and contented doing what I'm doing than I have this last few weeks. Now, I'm not saying that was down to me, but that's not the first time I've heard that.
Yeah. No, I love that. I think it is. Well, I've no doubt you do have a positive impact on the clients and their businesses and the colleagues. And I think business, we're probably bound to say this because we're business owners, right? But I think business is a force for good. Like, it's good for society and it's good for community to have strong, successful, well-run businesses of happy, fulfilled people.
Yeah, and there's a whole school of, I suppose we would call it, philosophy about business being a force for good. Conscious capitalism, it's often called. And I think a well-run business is exactly that. And why would you not want a well-run business?
Yeah.
And of course, a well-run business, by definition, means that it looks after its people.
Yeah. No, I always think it's odd when I can't get the words, I can't remember the correct terminology, but like is it like the legal definition or responsibility of a director of business it's basically just to make money. Like the legal definition or whatever of a director is but business isn't just that. It's much more than that.
And that came from, and I forget the guy's name, but there's an American who about 20, 30 years ago argued that the main function of a business was to maximize shareholder value.
Yeah, that's it.
And that saying held sway for a long, long time.
Uh-huh.
It tends not to now. People are a bit more worldly wise, but still that's the impression that a lot of people have. But it can't be about that. I talk about the triple bottom line. We need to be the supplier of choice. Everybody gets that. We want to be, as business owners, the place that people come to first. But we also need to be the investment of choice. If our investment in our business isn't providing a better yield than it will do somewhere else, then why are we doing it? But the third of the triple bottom line is the employer of choice. Because if you think about it, if I'm not the employer of choice, at very best, I'm the employer of second choice. But I'm probably the employer of last choice, which means that instead of getting the cream of the jobs market, I'm getting the dregs. So being the employer of choice is a really important concept. And that will only happen if we're providing value to the team. However we describe that, and it's about way more than what we pay people.
Totally. Yeah, people are wise to that on there, and definitely it's not just young people, but young people in particular. All the research shows like that's what they're looking for. They're looking for.
They've grown up in a different world.
Yeah.
Not the age of. My parents grew up in the war years. So their needs were more about survival than choice. But we're in a different era now. But yeah, if we aren't looking after the people that work for us, well, we'll probably deserve everything we've got coming.
Yeah, totally. We talked a bit before we went live, and I'm not going to go political as in but Keir Starmer has resigned today, about an hour and a bit ago.
I told you the world would have changed when I got out.
Yeah, I know, exactly. And so you see this a lot in politics and in sport, right? Where if things aren't going well, everyone calls for the head to go. They're like, oh, they should resign, get rid of them. And maybe it makes people feel better in the short term to just get rid of someone. But there doesn't seem to be much thought about what next, or even how do we make the current head perform better. So I don't know, that's just come to my head. It's sprung to my mind now about he probably was a good prime minister, but for whatever reason, he lost the support of the people around him. People turned against him. Public sentiment was apparently he's the least popular prime minister since Poland began in 1977. But they won with a landslide victory 2 years ago. So, he was obviously the right man to get Labour back into power. But once he's in power, it sounds like he's not had the right people around him advising him or coaching him. So.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, politics is a peculiar environment, as is sport, funnily enough. But I've got to say, I think he's been a dreadful prime minister, or this last 2 years have been awful. But what surprised me is that I'm not sure that there's been anybody in his camp that has been trading in the truth with him. Mm-hmm. When Tiger Woods was asked why he had so many coaches, his answer was, well, I can't see my own swing. Mm-hmm. And we all need people around us that are going to trade in the truth with us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And of course, the more powerful we are, or the more powerful the position, the less likely people are to trade in the truth.
Yeah.
Very often, that's why somebody does employ a coach, mm-hmm. because that's my job. My job isn't to flatter the client. Mm-hmm. It's not to tickle him or her with a feather. It's to trade in the truth. I often say, if your child's ugly, it's my job to tell you. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And that's the understanding that we have. So I'm paid to trade in the truth. I don't know if anybody had the courage or the wherewithal to do that, or whether Starmer didn't think he needed it. But we all need somebody in our corner that's going to tell us when we're being an idiot.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely.
Because we can't see our own swing.
No. Politics in particular, it must be really difficult because it's who do you trust? Like, you probably felt like he didn't have anyone. Maybe I'm jumping to a conclusion. Maybe didn't feel like you had anyone around him you could trust that didn't want his job.
It's got to be a flawed model, really, hasn't it? Because for me, a good leader is somebody that deals in the truth, that confronts the brutal realities of the situation. Mm-hmm. But of course, in politics, they need to be re-elected.
Yeah.
And it's a really difficult line to tread, being honest and open and facing the brutal realities, and still doing it in such a way that we remain popular enough to be re-elected.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think it can be done, but I'm not sure that it has been done in this country for quite a number of years.
Mm-hmm. And everything is so public now as well, isn't it? Like, things
I was just going to say, you've got social media, everybody's got a voice now, so it's very easy to for that to get out of hand and overwhelm. Mm-hmm. We've seen football managers that have lost the dressing room. Mm-hmm. This is very much the same. Mm-hmm. He's lost the confidence of his people. Mm-hmm. It's a difficult situation, but of course, the downstream consequence of it is that the country's going to be in turmoil again. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you'll know as a businessman that what businesses need is some degree of stability, because it's, running a business is difficult enough. When you're trying to do it on shifting sand, it's nigh on impossible.
Yeah, no, absolutely, definitely. I saw that. But I spent a bit of time working in recruitment. When was that? That was in 22 to 23, 22 and 23. So I told you I had my own business for 10 years, but I went back into employment for a couple of years, kept my business going in the background, but went back into employment and then picked up where I left off in January 2024. But the reason I mentioned recruitment, it was fascinating to me how political events, global events would collectively affect people's decision making. So like in the lockdown, companies were hiring loads of people, like particularly tech developers, techies. And then they got to the point where they basically overhired. They were spending too much money on these people. So it slowed right down. But then whenever there was some major political event or some war in Ukraine, whatever, oil crisis, people just stop making a decision. And it wasn't just one or two, it was like everybody. And then the media, whatever the media was talking about, they had a role to play there. They were making things worse by stirring things up. So you've got all this going on. And when you're a business owner, business leader, it's so hard to know what to do what's the right thing to do to get that clarity of thought. So that's why you do need external expertise, I think.
Without a doubt. And I think, that type of thing, I believe bigger companies, international companies, are often more reactive and unnecessarily so, because it's A, so big, and B, so distant. And if the edict comes down, I've worked for big companies as well, and if the edict comes down from America, let's say, that you need to reduce your headcount by 15%, no amount of arguing is going to change that.
Yeah.
You just got to get on and do it, or increase your headcount. Smaller businesses don't have such a problem, but you're right in what you say. They are influenced by all the stuff that's on social media, all the stuff that's on YouTube, and not necessarily in a good way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Lockdown was quite typical. All of my clients, and I said to all of them at the beginning, I'm going to carry on coaching you, but we're going online. I'm going to carry on invoicing you. If you can pay, please pay. If you can't, just let me know. But every one of them came out of COVID stronger than they went in.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because they weren't doing what everybody else was doing, which was just battening down the hatches and hoping that life would get better. So it's quite interesting, but I think smaller businesses should be more agile, should be able to weather the storm better than a big business oftentimes. But the real important thing is the clarity of thought, the thought process that's applied to making these decisions. And very often when they zig, we should zag, because if we just follow the crowd, we'd be no better than average.
Yeah.
And average isn't very good.
No. Well, I'm sure your clients, that's not what they want. They don't want to be average. They want to be above average. They want to be high performers. They want to be...
Well, they're ambitious. And as I said, the top of the mountain didn't fall there.
No.
He wanted to get there.
Yeah. I think what you said there as well, I love that about clarity of thought as well, and focus as well, staying focused and getting really clear on what you want. And so that's what you can definitely help with through your coaching sessions. And sometimes it is, you just need someone to talk to. People already know the answers. They just need someone to keep them on track and stop getting distracted by other things and filter out the noise. Do you? I know you do. We talk a bit about journaling and diaries, and is that something that you encourage your clients to do, or many of your clients do?
Depending on the client. I mean, one of the reasons I do a blog every week is that's my version of journaling.
Yeah.
You know, because an idea, it's really difficult to pressure test it and sense check it. But the minute you write it out, you can start to see the flaws in the argument. So that's what I do. I encourage, do I journal? Yes, I do, but not as consistently as I should, or as I could. Do I encourage clients to do it? Absolutely. The one thing that I am a big fan of, Paul, is, and I call it the wins diary. And that's like so many other things, it's a ritual. I'm just looking to see if mine's around here. It simply involves taking a notebook, electronic or paper, and setting up a ritual every day or twice a day. I mean, I know that you read the same stuff every morning. That's a ritual, and rituals work. But this ritual is, let's say, once a day, at the end of the day, jotting down 5 wins. It might be 3 wins, it might be 7 wins, but 5 wins. Now, what's a win? A win is anything you want it to be. So I'm a diabetic. The fact that I've been in for a couple of hours and I've only eaten 2 biscuits could be a win. So I'll write it down. And what the benefit of doing that, and it's particularly good for somebody that lacks confidence, is that, and the human brain is hardwired. Most of our emotions are about negative things. We're hardwired to notice the bad stuff rather than the good stuff. So, you know, if you've got children, if one of the children came home with the scorecard from school and had 7 A's and 1 F, it would be the F that attracts all the attention. That's a negativity bias that's hardwired within human beings. Most of our emotions, it's argued, are about spotting the bad stuff. So we don't eat rotten meat, we don't drink stale, stagnant water. So they're all, the majority of them are negative bias. Now, that keeps us safe. That's how we've evolved. But the danger is that sometimes all we can see is the negative stuff. So that wins diary is a way of training the brain to notice all the things that we've done well that day. And over time, it changes the way our brain's wired. So, and it builds up our confidence, because the other thing is, when we're feeling a bit down, we've now got a notebook full of 5 wins for every day for the last year and a half. And that's incredibly powerful, because it's when you're being knocked off balance that you need to be able to grasp something like that.
Yeah.
And because of the way the brain works, it's very difficult to see the wins when we've just been knocked flat on our back. So, you know, that wins diary is a very, very simple mechanism that anybody can use, and I recommend everybody does use.
Yeah, I love that. I'm gonna start doing that, because I love it, going from survive to thrive. Because like you say, like you're avoiding the negative to stay alive and keep going, but then if you focus on the positives, it can push you on to be more successful, more positive with your approach.
And that's why when you asked me how I was, I said excellent.
Yeah, love that.
Why would I say all right?
I know, yeah, you're right. But a lot of people do. They're like, oh, I'm surviving. I'm getting.
I'm getting in there.
Yeah, but just quickly on journal, like, because in the past, I've tried journaling, and I've not really known what to do, whether I do it in the morning, in the afternoon, evening, whatever. And I tried it a while ago, a few years ago, and I found I was just having a bit of a moan. I was dwelling on things that weren't going right, or that I was frustrated with. So I stopped doing it, right? Because I found that when it was just blank pages, that's what I was doing. But there's a couple that I got given one as a Christmas present, and I bought another one recently. This, I'll just quickly show you this one. The Reset. It's a guy called Mike Bell, who's based in Stockton. Right, so he created this. But what I really like about this, it's really simple, but it's structured, and it's all about positivity and focused on forward momentum. So it guides you to only talk about what you're going to do to get you closer to where you want to be. Yeah. And that's so it's a 90-day thing. So I've just literally finished that, actually. But
so have we got another one?
I've got another one waiting. Yeah, I have. Yeah. So but the practice of doing that on a morning, of sitting with a cup of coffee before everyone else wakes up, I've usually got about half an hour all to myself before the house wakes up, and having that quiet time to just sit and think and get clear on what I'm going to do that day. And then also, a lot of people have to-do lists, but that's really been beneficial to me to really plan what I'm going to do that day and get really clear on what I'm going to do that day. That gets me closer to where I want to be. And I didn't do that in the past.
And there's a lot of people that Brian Tracy calls it the golden hour, that right. The first hour or so of waking up and having a ritual. Yeah. Robin Sharma talks about I think he calls it the 4 a.m. club, but it's a similar thing. It's having that ritual first thing in the morning. Yeah. For me, for a long time, I would get up early, go downstairs, get a cup of tea, get the dog, sit and read for 30 minutes, then go for a walk. Mm-hmm. That was a very, very effective ritual. Funnily enough, I did exactly the same thing this morning. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing it as frequently now as I used to do it, but how we start the day is critical to how the day's going to go. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If we start the day doom and gloom, well, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, no, totally. I totally believe that about protecting your time and what
particularly first thing in the morning.
Yeah, so I usually don't look at my phone for the first hour when I'm awake, and on an evening I don't have my phone next to my bed. I just have like a little. It's just a little travel alarm clock, but that's my alarm for waking up, and I don't look at my phone when I go to bed, and that really helps stay. Because otherwise, if you're going on the news or you're going on the social media, and it's other people's thoughts and other people's ideas polluting your brain, and I think that's really important to protect your time and get that clarity of thought and focus on what you want to do first thing in the morning.
And I think it was Gandhi that said, "I won't let people walk through my mind with their dirty boots."
Yeah.
That's why I do very little TV, do very little news, because there's very little of it that's either inspiring or good news.
No, definitely the news. A lot of it's usually quite negative, isn't it? It's usually
always, yeah, always. So why would I let that into my mind if I don't have to?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, if people want to find out more, they want to work with you, is the best place to go. Obviously, it's kinnery.co.uk, your website.
Yeah, just Google me. There's only, as the song goes, there's only one.
There's only one.
I'm sort of fortunate in having a very unique surname. But website, LinkedIn, but there's only one of me. And then contact me, either email me or phone me. The phone number's on the website. It's also on LinkedIn. Chances are I won't pick up the phone because more often than not, I'm coaching and they can't be disturbed, but I'll always get back.
Yeah. And I would encourage people to go on your website because you have got some very good resources on there, good advice, good things to read. Definitely the email, the 5-day productivity challenge. I think that's on every page on your website, either halfway down or at the bottom of the page. And you get an email every day for 5 days with some insights on there, but there's also usually a little fact sheet or something to download and a video as well, which I think is very good.
And I've been blogging for probably 10 years now. So the vast majority of those are on the website as well.
Yeah.
And I do that because it gets my mind clear and people value them.
Yeah, great. And have you got? Are you looking for any more clients? Have you got room for any more at the moment?
Well, I would say always. To be honest, I'd be right now. I'd be struggling. One of the things that I think makes me different from other coaches is that there's never a contract when I work with somebody.
Yeah,
hasn't been for 21 years. I promise to give the client more value than they're paying for. If they don't think that I am, they can sack me at any time. They don't need to give me notice. They don't need to give me an explanation even. They can sack me at any time, which means that, we're halfway through, 2/3 of the way through the month. So in 10 days, all my clients get to decide whether they're rejoining or they're walking away. And my average retention the last time I worked it out is something like 4 years. And I believe in this industry it's more like 3 months. So I don't tend to lose clients very frequently, but there's always room for ambitious business owners to develop and grow.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there'll be some people watching this or listening to this who will get in touch, or if they don't, they should get in touch with you. And I'll be encouraged. Well, if they've got to the end, they've definitely been into what you've been saying and what we've been talking about. So, there's a few people I've got in mind. I'm encouraging them to get in touch and work with you as well.
Thank you, and it doesn't cost anything to have a chat.
No. Amazing. Right, Ian, thoroughly enjoyed that. Always like talking to you and always like listening to you. Keep doing what you're doing. And if I don't see or speak to you beforehand, have a lovely holiday in Spain.
Thank you very much. I'll try my best.
I'm sure you will. All right. Okay. Thank you. Cheers, Ian.
Take care. Bye now.
Bye.